Good morning. Again, if y'all are following my videos as I'm recording them, but who does that? Hi, I'm Lindsay, and this video is to share with y'all my testimony. This YouTubing journey of mine, the overall arching theme of it is Diary of an Introvert. This is technically my third video this morning. So, the lights are on. I've been talking for a little bit now. I'm not generally a morning person, but as you can see, words are working. I'm impassioned. I am excited. I'm getting back in the game, y'all. Just stuff has been happening, and this just means a lot to me, and so it encourages me to. This is a God-given drive to do this, to share this, to finally get here. And all of that, including the imperfect, awkward, unmakeuped me. I am in my dad's garage. For now, it's 2 o'clock in the morning because I work early. I work an opening shift in food service retail. So I try to wake up earlier so that I'm not going into a public working place with other people. Well, it's not been all that successful, but I've been told I have a mean face in the morning, a mean attitude, so I try to wake up earlier so that the process gets going, and it's not been all that successful, but it could be a lot worse if I don't do it. So anyway, so I'm grabbing this time, this opportunity to do this of all things as well. This is not necessarily a vlog. This is just going to be my testimony, so that y'all could see it before watching anything else of mine, especially my vlogs and especially the Bible studies that I plan on doing. I have filmed a disclaimer, but I'll throw out another. I'll probably keep throwing them out. I am not a teacher. My spiritual gift is not teaching. I'm not an authority figure of any kind by any means. Controversial doing this on here. Maybe the platform lifts me up as an authority figure. I am not. The platform gives me a voice. It lets y'all see my perspective. And that's it. I'm still praying about it. As I'm filming this, I haven't published anything from my video yet. Not saying that it's not going to be, but who knows? I could get to a place of uploading just this so that y'all hear this story, or uploading the rest that I'm planning on making, and then I stop halfway through because I get convicted and I get told to stop, or etc. So just telling y'all where I'm at, where my mind's at, and I'm gonna leave that as my quick disclaimer, and get to the title of this video. Give y'all my story. grab some water first. I have to be super careful with coffee because it can get me just really, really anxious and really jittery really fast and mess with digestion. I can drink it. It's not unsafe for me, but just with my whatever, it doesn't necessarily help in the morning, usually something cool. Anyway, so my testimony. So my spiritual story, my journey, my background. Was raised in a Christian household. My dad was raised a Lutheran. I'm not too sure. My other sisters might know, but of his parents' story. But I know there was a point where he not meaning to share his testimony. He had a radical conversion when he was young, and it led him to wanting to find out more for himself, which led him to the coffee houses of the 60s and the 70s and the Jesus movement. And that eventually led him to bringing his parents to those type of churches. So I guess bringing it out, so we're technically in the camp of non-denominational, but it's influenced by, non-denominational is often called, sub-Baptist, but colorings of Methodist and Reformed and all these different words. So that's my dad's background, my dad's influence, as my dad and my family, authority, whatever. Y'all check my vlog out for any of that story that's not come out yet. But and then my mom, let's see. My abuelita, she's Colombian. She was Catholic, almost became a nun apparently, and I don't think I know her story either. Might have been like Baptist Pentecostal, because she ended up moving her family to Louisiana. Y'all, my mom, anyone's story, but my mom's story is colorful. But I'm talking about spiritual backgrounds. So my mom grew up in the Baptist Pentecostal world with smattering of Catholicism-ish, kind of, maybe, from her mom. She didn't know much about her dad. She grew up with a stepdad, and I guess he must have lived like the Baptist Pentecostal life. I don't really know anything about his testimony actually, or his influence spiritually on the family. So it's leading. So, but my mom, I can remember her telling me how many times she got baptized, just because she would keep going to these services and hearing that, in order to be saved, in order to do the right thing, you need to be baptized, and come on up and do it right now. And so she kept doing it, and I think someone at some point grabbed her and said, you don't have to you only have to do it the once. And she's just like, oh, okay, whatever. So certainly from her side, well, maybe I won't go, I don't know if I'll go that far. That was really just to kind of give my background, my influence, kind of where it came from, where they came from. I don't know where it joined. I don't know, what their outlook was, or, what their plan was in terms of raising their kids. But at the very least, we went to church. From what I've understood and learned, especially recently, just as an adult, I guess the churches that we grew up going to came out of the coffee houses. I did not realize that. Um, so, so grew up as a Christian in the 90s. So, um, from my earliest memories, I can remember singing and dancing to, the little kids' songs. There was a particular tape I remember of what I now understand as like 80s, 90s music, but got put Christian lyrics to it. So earliest memories I remember is all, we had, this kids programs tape that we were all learning, like the dance and the moves and the lyrics because we were getting ready to go to a concert or some kind of program, some sort of event. And we were all in our living room, just being silly, me and my sisters and my mom. And so technically at this program, if y'all hear that noise, I think that's the ceiling fan. Anyway, I was going to mention at the beginning of this video, I'm doing this a week before Halloween. Y'all, I'm back in the game. This is happening. Sorry. So the program was Salty the Big Blue Book. Anybody remember that? Apparently it was a Billy Graham kids special program thing. But I was 5. I didn't know. I don't know why I can remember I was 5. Maybe because I wrote it in that book. So what ended up happening was, in the middle of this program, they call everybody to come up and say a prayer. I guess, that's what happens with Billy Graham. I guess it was an altar call, whatever. But so I don't even remember where my sisters were. And certainly my younger sister, we were often grouped together for lots of things. So probably my mom just grabbed her hands and walked down the flight of stairs in the dome. It was a huge concert, to the floor, and we were just, in a mass of people, so just kind of all gone down to the floor of the stadium, and there were people there handing out these old pamphlets, these old plastic kids books things with markers, and say this prayer and write your name in the book. I guess there must have been a date in it or something, which made me remember that I was 5. But and literally, I mean, that's that. Besides, I think my first memories are being, a little kid and not having gone to school yet, the house being empty and mom napping on the couch and doing circles because I was bored. But then my immediate next memory of my life is that event, that program. So just mindlessly being herded in this dome to this big old concert to the floor of the dome, and saying, "Here, take this book and write your name in it and say, Jesus, I love you and accept you in my life and thank you for saving me." And okay. It's and all the while, so we were going to church, we were going to Sunday school, VeggieTales was happening. I'm hoping to get them on my reaction stuff. Get it out there, y'all. So learning, as a little kid, hearing about him and that life and that world, and I guess getting like, the supposed to be's, and um, but you know, as a little kid, you're seen as immature, you're seen as not being capable of making your own decisions, all that sort of thing. But I mean, I certainly felt aware. I can definitely remember myself being that way because of the decisions I was making. And if y'all, I don't know if it's so significant because of decisions I was making spiritually. All that to say, I mean, I guess I kind of count 5 years old as my save date, my birthday date, but I also remember specifically for what I felt were the right reasons. I made the decision and the choice to get baptized at 8. Not too far from 5. I guess you're further on in like elementary school, and you're almost to middle school. Anyway, so some could just write it off as, I was brainwashed, or I was, that's how the fundamentals of my life went. So, what other way could it go? But no, I mean, I was all too aware of disobedience and the consequences of your actions. And somewhere in my vlog, we'll go through how it's very possible just with our situation, mentally. I'm just sprinkling this in. This is not as big of a deal as I'm making it, but it's very possible that my sisters kind of grew up a little bit faster than we were supposed to. We got told a lot that we were mature for our age. Just sprinkling that in. So yeah, so said a prayer when I was 5, put my name in a book, whatever. But in going to Sunday school, in Minnesota, we were living in Minnesota at the time, in churches that were started by the coffee house, Vineyard, Jesus People movement, or whatever. I never saw them that way because, they weren't hippies, anyway. But just, had people of faith around me, and community, and my sisters, and just listening to, when everyone else was listening to that 90s music, I can't even say the names of like the artist or the songs, or because what we were all listening to, which I'm definitely for sure, is kind of what I'm so excited about doing reactions to, is getting that music out there. Those reaction things out there is the music of DC Talk, Newsboys. My girls were Point of Grace. My younger sister's girls were Zoe Girl later on. So all of those bands, all of that music, Petra, my mom's guys. Those were my influences. That was my culture. Going to church, hanging out with the youth group, and listening to all that music, putting on little shows and performances to all that music, and reading the Bible. Maybe I'll find some way to slip in videos of. I should have brought my Bible, my Bibles. I've still got my little. I've had to like saran wrap the cover to keep it together, and and it's got, a little bit of highlights and some writing in there because at some point it's what, people tell you to do, but I hate doing that. But my little study Bible, I brought that thing around with me everywhere. I brought it with me to school. I walked around with it, like they told you to do, just to be a proud Christian girl and have everyone ask you about it. But I was still the second middle child. I was still, introvert, quiet, shy, reserved, but confident in my faith, and not necessarily, again, this is my perspective, this is my story, my view on how things happen, but just that, I never felt myself was necessarily directly led by someone to think and feel and act this way. There was no one, I guess someone could say, that's a part of brainwashing. It's just, kind of collectively you're understood to act a certain way, especially when everyone of authority over you is telling you that this is the right way of things. But God's word never returns void. God is real. God is alive. God's Holy Spirit moves and works actively, even when you're 5. And these are things, if you know, you know. You can be the most logical, the most intellectually smart and knowledgeable and read and putting 1 + 1 and A to Z all together. But spirituality is something else. There's this line that I keep using now ever since I went into the world of, I'm a Trekkie, y'all. I grew up a Trekkie watching Star Trek, and I think I was the first one to venture into the world of Deep Space Nine in college, and so there's just this line that I was stuck with me, and from Kira Nerys, she says something around the way of something about having faith. If you have faith, it doesn't need to be explained. I'm not saying this right. It's still early in the morning, y'all. But it's the same concept of just if you know, you know. And if you don't have faith, it's not something you can necessarily explain. But if you share it, then you don't have to. But certainly the story, the feeling, the inklings, it calls you to each other. That's kind of how it works. So, continuing in my story, 5, 8. For some reason, I've got this next milestone in my head is this 14. I think that might have been, just we moved to Georgia when I was 10. And somehow, obviously, when you get to a new place, you church hop a little bit. You find the right place to stick in, but we got to that pretty quickly. And got plugged into a place, and so. But But pretty quickly when we moved, I think my oldest sister was in high school for maybe 1 year, and then she was gone. So family dynamics start changing, as I grow older, my influences start changing. Still listening to the same music. Rebecca St. James, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Rich Mullins, Matthew W. Smith, at the time, Amy Grant, until, anyway, sorry y'all. Twilight Paris, etc. So, gotcha. So, youth group kept progressing, as I got older, going into different classes, meeting different people, and especially with the move, that definitely impacted my story, my outlook, how we treated with each other, and, my family, my sisters, and then my oldest sister left. But my second oldest sister was a little bit more of an influence. We were closer then. It kind of changed as she, started getting ready to move out, and we shared musicality. We shared the love of singing with each other a little bit till I think puberty kind of, it changes things as it does and changed relationship. But so we loved Point of Grace together. She really loved Rebecca St. James, so do I, but it was like hers. But so we did a little bit of worship team together in the youth group, and but eventually, she got older and started doing her own stuff, and so just me where I was, my spiritual experience was really coming into its own. Was really individually mine. I don't remember her being there for retreats. I mean, parents didn't go, mom didn't go. My younger sister wasn't even there. Somehow, I guess I went on my own. Obviously with the rest of the youth group and the leaders and stuff, but so retreats, D Now, Discipleship Now, is anyone out there remember that? So I remember 14, there was one particular Discipleship Now where it was just another rededication of my life to God, not to a group, not to a society, a culture, a way, it was my personal walk with him, with an individual person, an individual way of life, and his whole. It was another moment of, I don't think I was consciously trying to redo my 5-year-old experience, but it was another just event, Discipleship Now concert event that happened. It was actually inside of a church. It was smaller, a little more intimate, more comfortable. But I consciously made the act, as an introvert, as someone, hiding behind everybody, but I consciously, a little shy, a little like, oh my gosh, but I'm doing this. I walked down the aisle and I got to the bottom of the floor and prayed with everybody, got prayed over, and dedicated my life to God and the walk and the world and so just continued to walk, to read, to study, went in and out of studies, of devotionals, of Bible study groups and all that sort of thing as you grow up and as life starts getting harder and more real. It did. ended up having an experience summer before. No, I'm gonna have to go back and look at the date. But it was some summer of college. I guess it was summer of my junior year. Was it right before my senior year? I think so, because I can remember. Anyway, embarrassing moments of an introvert, but spiritually, but awkward. Anyway, he found out that I had a tumor. It wasn't technically a brain tumor, but it was on my pituitary gland. When I asked the questions very awkwardly, I was told that it shouldn't be affecting me so much in any way. It wasn't affecting my mind, my moods, even though it was on my pituitary gland that's responsible for hormones. It wasn't supposed to be affecting my behavior in any way, but anyway. I guess by that time, I don't know exactly how it happened. Maybe it'll come out in the vlog, just as we dive into it. Anyway, but had kind of gotten further away from actually going to a church. As things for my dad got controversial, he just kind of gave up and stopped going. Things got harder for my dad's life, I should put it that way, especially. It just got harder to be far removed from the coffee house, from the Jesus people. Anyway, just as life progresses and all that sort of thing. So somehow we stopped going, but still had some connections here or there. Maybe mom was going. I don't know exactly how it happened, but somehow the youth group got called to. I don't think they were bringing food or anything at that point, but the youth group got called or decided to come over, and all piled into our living room. Yeah, I don't remember my older sisters being there. I can't remember, y'all. But I remember it being very awkward. Anyway, they were all piled into my living room. The youth group leader, I think it was still the same gentleman, and or lady. Anyway, put their hand on my head, and everyone gathered around with putting hands on each other and to connect up to me and just prayed over me, and all the while I was praying through it. My mom was praying through it. Just our faith was, or maybe just me, just kind of where I was. I wasn't exactly conscious of the severity of what was happening, what could have happened, because the tumor was not cancerous. So maybe that just wasn't impacting everyone's attitudes or whatever. But anyway, that still happened. Just they all came and did that and prayed over me, and it was, definitely just that image, that feeling of everyone crowding into the living room and just surrounded me and with prayer, and ended up, went to the hospital and did that thing, and I was in there for 4 days, but they went in, did the surgery, came back out and heard that the tumor had melted. I don't know if that's had liquefied. It had dissolved and all I had to do was get rid of the waste and all that sort of stuff, and obviously, recover from surgery. So I was only in the hospital about 4 days. Surprisingly, well, or maybe not surprisingly, I was working at Chick-fil-A at the time, and my owner and and the general manager actually came to the hospital, and that was super awkward. But they gave me a little teddy bear, and I think he might have prayed over me a little bit as well, which was special, and I don't know. So it's just that is part of my testimony. That is just a real moment in my life. I don't know how it trickled out to everybody else. Because I was just kind of watching. Obviously, it was happening to me, but there was no real emergency to me, to my experience. There was no pain, except for the achiness I got and staying in that bed for so long. And anyway, but yeah, I mean, there's been no real repercussions. It was my only surgery I've ever had in my life. The only real. I've not really gone to the doctor since, except for maybe an MRI or two just to check on it. Apparently I'm supposed to have one every year or whatever, but it costs money. So that happened, and as my story continues, went to college. I've never really thought about my testimony past that point. Well, past 14, honestly. But my faith continued. I mean, as it would, just continue to grow. I continue to have a relationship with Him with varying degrees of success in terms of church, of small group, but my own personal study of reading the Word, reading the Bible, going through devotionals, and then when you're out in the world on your own, I ended up finding a church eventually where I went to school. But first, I think I found an on-campus ministry, and through the college ministry at the church, I eventually found a rather substantial, another substantial just kind of step up in my walk was, because I was very influenced by my dad and his intellect and where he was at spiritually, and just knowing the Word, knowing what things meant. So, I was just very much inspired to go in that direction as well, to study. It was very important to me. Originally, the plan was to go to a Bible college and, do all the right things spiritually. Anyway, I don't know. So it was very important to me, a very important step up in finding David Platt's secret church. I can't remember which one it was. But man, that was such, in lieu of going to Bible college, if you look him up, if you do the experience, he calls it, a fire hydrant of the word of a Bible study It's fire hose of a Bible study. It's a 3-ish day. Wait, no, it's a one night event. Gosh, I haven't done it in so long. But it's a one night event. You're there for something like 6 hours. You go until like midnight, 1 o'clock. 3 different sessions. You get this little study guide where he's talking lightning speed, and you're filling in this study guide with the people next to you as well. And did I mention I'm still waking up? And I think it's getting closer for me to start getting ready for work, which kind of fits because my testimony, my story of faith, again, I've never really thought about it past 14, but this is how it's progressed. Secret church, just an outpouring of truth, of the word, of study, of getting to know him in a real way, getting I can't even find words anymore, but just getting empowered, if that makes sense. It's kind of a little too strong of a word, just in terms of being a shy introvert and all this sort of thing, but anyway, so just my faith became strong, and I carried that with me. Well, college, right in the middle of it, I don't want to get into that just now, just how my life's been affected spiritually in my walk and my testimony, just with how much more real life becomes as you get older. It got some hitches in it. It's kind of attached to a breakthrough that I recently had that I've been bringing up in a couple of my videos that I'm still not exactly ready to share the details of, but I got a hitch in my faith a little bit during college. It was still there. It was still, the strength that I had gotten at, I was still in a very good place in my walk, but there was a hitch, and then graduated, moved back home for a year, and made the decision, felt like I was being led in my walk to move to California, where my second oldest sister was at the time. And yeah, I guess kind of gonna start fading out my story there, just because introvert-wise, I guess maybe I'm getting a little more tired. Just I'm still waking up. But y'all, still imperfect, still awkward, still. I guess maybe it's bothering me that just systematically I'm not able to finish my story in the way that I want to. Maybe should have written down notes so I could have been more organized, but and at some point, the story will get finished. It will go past the point of, but feeling the need to wrap it up. And give you just my statement of faith. I am a non-denominational Christian who believes in God, who believes in the God, as I've been referring to him lately. When I pray, I say, I'm specifically speaking to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Anyway, y'all, I'm trailing out, but that's my story. So I have walked in faith with him my entire life. had its peaks and valleys as life gets more complicated, as you get older and understand how much more complicated it is with your story, with the people around you, with influences of the world and all that sort of thing. But you'll get all the rest of that in my diary, and then yeah, inevitably it comes out during a Bible study as well, just getting to know me and all that sort of thing. So that's my story. That's my testimony. Obviously, there's more to it. It's more complicated, and that's going to keep coming out. But that's me, and yeah, y'all. I'm sorry, but that's going to be it for this one. I think it's the longest one I've filmed so far, but and it's awkward. It's unedited. It's me. So yeah. All right, y'all. Love ya, and and I'll see you later.